Hello everyone, welcome back to the Creator Shelf. You are joining me on what was a bright autumnal, beautiful day in Brussels. Welcome to new subscribers, welcome back to those who already know me. This is Creator Shelf in Brussels. So first and foremost, I just want to say October is over. I mean, can you believe that month just went by so fast? We had one of the warmest months in Europe, I think it is, and it was strange. It was strange. I mean, there are flowers still blooming and it's just kind of like it's the 1st of November, what, huh? But anyway, we've just had a national holiday. Today is national holiday in Brussels, 1st of November, All Saints Day. And yeah, we've just been kind of like relaxing. I think it's been a long weekend and everybody will go back to work tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, without further ado, I thought I would do the deep dive into last month's deck before I forget, to be quite honest with you, because we're moving so fast. I'm already going to next month's deck already. So yeah, so everything is just going so fast. The other thing I want to mention quickly is if anybody is on Instagram, yesterday there was like a huge Instagram problem, I think for many people, where all of our accounts were suspended. You might have been one of them. It was weird. If that's happened to you before, like it was freaky. And then I went onto Twitter and it's like there was just so many messages of like, yeah, Instagram has crashed basically. So anyway, so that was good to know. I am back up and running. I was like, your account doesn't meet community guidelines. And I'm like, huh? Like, anyway, it was fine, but it was just an Instagram issue. So anyway, today everything is up and running again, which is great. And yeah, so good to have you all here. And now, without further ado, let me go into the deck that I was working with last month because, like, it was a big thing for me. Yes, I went and got the Trick or Treat Tarot by Barbara Moore, artwork by Jonathan Hunt. Now, I don't have a Halloween tarot deck. I do have two Halloween, Samhain, season-themed decks, basically oracle decks. One is the Halloween Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. The other one is the Seasons of the Witch, Samhain edition by Lorian Anderson and Juliet Diaz. So I have two Halloween themed decks, but they're both oracle decks. I don't have the, is it Wes Kipling? Something like that. I don't have his tarot deck, which I'd like to get, but it's very hard to get hold of that game in that deck in Europe by US Games. It's a bit of a tricky one. It's weird, and sometimes it's very, very expensive. So anyway, I've always wanted a Halloween deck, and when I saw that this was coming up already in the summer, I'd already spotted it. I was like, I'm definitely getting it. So yeah, really happy to have bought this. It is one of those large box decks by Llewellyn, so it will come with a complete guidebook as well. So without further ado, it comes with this magnetic closure. I know many people have already done reviews on this deck, so anyway, and then this is the inside, which I thought was fantastic. I thought it was so much fun. And yeah, a little ribbon to pull out your guidebook. So without further ado, I really wanted a Halloween deck, and I have to say, like, trick-or-treating is not a big tradition still here on continental Europe. I know when I was growing up, it was kind of like coming into the UK. I think the UK now has gone a lot more kind of like the American way of doing more on Halloween, which is great, more on Samhain. I think it's so much fun. But on continental Europe, some parts of Europe, it's still not a big thing. I think it's still because of like tradition basically and religion. So changes are coming where different things are becoming more popular, which I think is great. Like this today I saw, and yesterday I saw so many posts of friends, kids getting dressed up at Halloween, which was good. You know, it was really good to see that in Brussels. So slowly it's becoming more and more popular. But anyway, so these are the bags which I've already shown you, but I just show you again. I love these colors. I love this orange and purple thing going on right here. And this deck, first and foremost, I found very vibrant. So different from like that dark spooky theme. It's a fun, vibrant, spooky theme, which I really like. And the artwork by Jonathan Hart, I think really fits in with like that Llewellyn style of artwork, which is, I think, very accessible. It's a diverse deck. It definitely has different people in it. I think I'd like to still see more diversity. I mean, they could still push the boat out a bit, but still, it's come far from the days of, let's say, Tower of the Hidden Realm, you know, where I did see a lack of diversity. In this one, it's much more different in that sense. It's fun, it's vibrant. The first thing that caught me when I was working with this deck was the fact that I needed to remember this is not a standard Halloween deck, this is trick or treating. So it's people disguised in costumes, which I really liked because it plays for me on the theme of wearing a mask, wearing a costume, wearing an identity. And I really like that kind of like idea. I love like stuff like this, like the hocus pocus style of like the three fates. Yeah, I just think it's cool in that sense. I like that it's not too heavy. It's got that more childlike approach to it, and I really like that. I think my inner child really enjoyed this deck. I found it very soft in that sense, fun. I found it kind of like myself also trying to understand what, like, you know, like this, yeah, I can get it's a Viking. But there were definitely figures in here where even I was trying to like, you know, it's like cosplay where people have dressed up in their costumes. So even I was trying to figure out like who are they meant to be? And I think some of the costume play is more the American style. So I'm trying to understand what would that be. Now, I love stuff like this. Like, you know, this is like, kids don't still dress up like this here. I would love to see like us have more diversity in that sense. But I did enjoy this, Ten of Swords. I really did enjoy this in terms of kind of like the variety of costumes, let's put it this way. And I know that's big in the US. There were many cards in this deck. And I have to say one thing, but when I buy a deck and I work with it, I don't go through the deck before I work with it. On the rare occasion, if I'm showing it to you, I might go through it. But otherwise, I'm not actually going through it myself. So I'm seeing some cards for the first time right now. This deck was really strange. There were some cards, like the whole month. So I posted on my IG the card pulls for that day. And the tarot challenge I was following was the one by Lionhearts, which is Season of the Witch for October. And what was really strange was that there were just some cards that came up all the time. So they kind of like stalked me. The High Priestess, and I think this is Barbaramoore, the High Priestess, like every 2 or 3 days. There was actually times when she was popping up, and I have to say that I actually put her back in the deck because I was like, I've seen you so many times now this month. But that's how much she stalked me. I got Justice several times. I got a lot of Queen of Pentacles. I got aces, so many aces last month. It was unbelievable. Some of you might know from my channel, especially from my more recent videos, there's a lot of challenges and changes happening in my personal life, also my professional life. And I think that this deck, I mean, this season is really showing me the aces, and the world card kept coming up again and again. It was almost like it was very clear, like I'm at the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. And it was almost like very clearly saying to me that, you know, it's time to move on. There were so many cards in this deck that I've just never seen, because it was almost like the deck was just really just channeling messages, and it was just saying, this is what you need to see, this is what you need to see. And I loved it for that. It was very good at showing me what I needed to see, basically. So that's great. It's a fun deck. I mean, I got this card once. I love stuff like this, like, you know, the big bad wolf. And I love this card. I got a lot of this card, the Four of Pentacles. And I know that this is Baron Samedi of, I said it the English way. I know that this is Baron Samedi of, from the South American culture. I was just going to say, I want to make sure that I get it right. Voodoo, not hoodoo. I want to make sure if I got that, I probably got that wrong now. I got this card very often, to the point where I knew he was stalking me. And I know, and that there is a connection here going on from cards that I drew earlier this year. So I'm not going to go into it so much, but it was very appropriate that he came up many times this month. It was like last month, sorry, October. So yeah, I really have loved working this deck, because it was showing me cards that made a lot of sense to me. And it was almost like it clicked very quickly with me. This is the kind of deck for me that's going to be a bit like the Darkwood, where I'm going to really discover the deck more when I use her again the second time. I think once was not enough with this deck and myself. I think I'm really someone that suits this kind of energy, which is dark, spooky, but fun. And I think that's where I click very quickly with a deck like this, which, you know, it has the deep purples and the deep blues and the deep blacks and all of that kind of thing. And then you'll have this like vibrancy coming through. And that's really where I just felt like the colors and my own self just really bounced off each other. I really like that they have things like the Wizard of Oz in here. So yeah, there's something very costumey, very musical, theater, film, legends, traditions, all a mix of what we would get at Halloween coming through. And you know, these curtains, I love that. So yeah, the Beauty and the Beast here, of course, with the Strength card. So I have really enjoyed, I love that Five of Cups, so vampire, so kind of, oh, oops, you know, after she's made her way through those cups. So yeah, so I really found this deck to be just so, it taps into my energy where I am a mixture a little bit, I think, of the dark and then the fun. I also had my birthday last week. It's been a week since my birthday. Yeah, I'm a very early Scorpio. I'm literally born a few hours after into the sign for that year. It's really strange. So I'm a real potent Scorpio in that kind of sense. And yeah, this deck was just like, it had the vibrancy, I feel, of being an early Scorpio, because we are kind of like we're very much, when the sign is still climbing, it's in its cardinal phase, it's still going, it's a fixed sign, but it climbs in the first set of the decan, and then it will kind of like sit there very potent, and then it will start to descend. And I'm still in the ascending phase of it, you know, so that's where I really get that energy of like, I need my Scorpio side needs to feel the flare, and it needs to feel that fieriness. And also I'm a Sagittarius moon. So yeah. Okay, so she's got that massive knife, which looks so scary. Five of Swords. That is like fantastic. I love the quirkiness of this deck. I love the fact that it looks, yeah, it kind of like, you know, this reminds me a little bit of the Alice Llewellyn deck, which I don't have. I think I need to get that for next year's summer. But it has like a hint of a little bit of darkness in it, you know, with it. So I really like it. Yeah, I really like this deck in that sense. So yeah, and this is another card that just made me laugh so much. So yeah, I mean, I've got the Zombie Tarot. I could have done a deep dive with that in October, but this was the deck that I had really been drawn to. I have to say as well that for a few months, I think for 3 or 4 months at least, I haven't worked with a Llewellyn deck this year. Like, I think I'm coming back to Llewellyn after 4 months away or something. And I really, really like Llewellyn decks. As some of you know, I haven't gone and bought all of them at the same time, but that's because I'm using them also for like deep dives. So I will definitely continue getting more Llewellyn decks in. I think that's for sure. And so because I like Llewellyn decks and I like working with them, I was looking forward to this one so much. So yeah, I mean, so Wizard of Oz and that Wicked Witch of the East, you know, and she's setting out on her journey. So yeah, and I love the Queen of Wands as well. I find her, she's like my significator. So I really love that kind of energy there. So yeah, I had a lot of fun working with this deck. If you are interested, I would definitely recommend giving it a try. I think that there's a lot of quirkiness in this deck. I don't think it's very serious at all, but I like that. This card just haunted me the whole month. Very Queen of Pentacles. I had the Fool several times, had the World card quite a bit, had a lot of Hangman and Surrender going on as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed working with it, and a lot of aces as well. Let me quickly show you the guidebook. Now it comes with the full Trick or Treat Llewellyn guidebook that we get. You would get basically a full page cover here like that, and then the meaning here. Now, you know, what you get is basically a really good blurb. So let me get a card randomly. Okay, so I've pulled out the Three of Swords. Let me find the Three of Swords in here, and I'll read out a little bit to you so you get an idea of what it says. So here you go, you get a full page as well. And then it says, Three of Swords. Is anything sadder than a busted jack-o'-lantern in the street after a night of fun? Oh, it does look sad, doesn't it? It says here, we all know Halloween is a special time carved out for our normal day-to-day lives. We mark its beginning with the lighting of the festive pumpkin lanterns, so there is a nice symmetry to ending it with their destruction. We had our fun. Now it's time to clean up and go back to our everyday lives. When this card comes up, prepare yourself for wounding words or truths. It's not a happy card, even though we usually want the truth. A good rule of divination is to not ask if you don't want to know the answer, whatever it may be. On the other hand, after learning the truth, we can make our choices and move forward. This card could also be a warning to watch your own words, to avoid treating the people in your life like this pumpkin. Make sure your words are true, necessary, and as kindly delivered as possible. So the keywords here are painful truths, heartbreak, betrayal, disloyalty, faithlessness, and reversed, it's confusion, miscommunication, hurtful lies, needless cruelty. So this is a Barbara Moore guidebook, and I really like the fact that she doesn't sugarcoat it too much. I do like also the fact that there is some positive elements. It's not all dark. There is also a little bit of, we can watch our words. Sometimes the truth hurts, but, we need to pick ourselves up after that. So I do like the fact that there's a balance here going on. And, and I always believe with cards, if I got the Three of Swords or if I got the Ten of Swords or something like that, I always believe in the fact that everything has a positive element. And even with the Three of Swords, sometimes having that logic, having the rationale over the heart energy, having to look at like sometimes some harsh stuff, there is going to be a little bit of light, because sometimes I let go of things when I acknowledge the harshness of them, or if I've been harsh, by realizing I need to watch how I say things, or might be needlessly cruel, or there actually cruelty is not needed at all. So I might be being cruel, or I might be being harsh, or just too tough, or being even an inner critic on myself. This is a good reminder for me to ask myself, is it needed? Is it really necessary? Of course, it never really is. So I always believe that, that we have a balance when we pull out cards like these. So yeah, I've really enjoyed working this deck. I think it's a fun deck. I definitely think it's one to have if you want something that's more seasonal themed. I'm just going to check my notes if there's anything that I've forgotten. No, I think it's really covered things really well. The most that I want to say about this deck, which I think I've said about 1,000,000 times doing this review, but I can say it again and again and again, is that I really, really like the vibrancy. Now I've mixed them all up. I really, really like the vibrancy of this deck. I really like the fact that it's got these fun colors. Sometimes with spooky seasons, we can end up with decks which feel a bit too heavy all the time, or a bit too dark, and I like dark energy, but sometimes too much of it can, I don't know, it just depends. Some years I need something a bit lighter. So if you're looking for like a Halloween deck, but which has a bit of joy, a bit of laughter, a bit of poking fun at itself and the events. I mean, you can tell that that's one of those set up haunted houses. It's not a real one, and the kids going through its ride and that kind of thing. There is something about this deck that just, it has the element of like the scary season, but it has it with a bit of fun, a bit of reminiscing of musicals and stories, and like I said, legends and things that I've enjoyed growing up. And I think that like for my inner child self, it's been a fun time. So, I'm not somebody, I've said this before on the channel, I'm not somebody that buys inner child decks, and yet something like this is just perfect for me. That's really inner child stuff that makes sense. And I know that it's a seasonal deck. I know it's, will I be pulling this out in the middle of summer? Probably not, no. But I really like Halloween. I've loved it since I was a kid. I always, for me, it's always a witchy season. It's when I always look out for the witches in the skies. When I was a kid, I used to be up at the window looking out for my witch, looking out for my coven, basically, so I can go and join it. So, I love this time of year. It's magical. It's fun. I love all the way into Yule, basically. I mean, I am like, yeah, this is when the season becomes really good fun for me. And so yeah, I definitely recommend this. If you're on the fence, give it a try. And I also have to say that, you know, these days I'm just making sure they're all upright. These days I have to say that now we're reselling decks now on Vinted. If you're in Europe, Vinted is a good option. And so it's, you know, if it doesn't work for you, if you think, okay, one Halloween was enough, I'm pretty sure you could sell it on secondhand, and, you know, and somebody's going to enjoy a pre-loved deck, and you'll be able to get some of your investment back again. So I definitely believe that even if you want to just try it for one season, it's well worth it. I am going to hold on to it because I really like all these fun images. They make me smile. And this is definitely a deck, as I've mentioned before, which I think I'm going to do better looking at it again the second time round. I think it's a bit like the Darkwood. You know, it's a deck that becomes more potent for me if I use it again and again. I definitely believe that. And like I said, there's many cards that I didn't get to work with because it really wanted to give me a message. So there was something like 10 cards that just kept coming up over the course of the whole month, or 5 cards or something. And I just thought, okay, well, it's giving me very clear messages of what I need to see this year in the Halloween, in the Samhain period. So there you go. I'm going to leave you with the Emperor right at the end, wishing you a wonderful Samhain, if you're celebrating, a wonderful Halloween, if that's what you prefer to call it, or All Saints Day. Tomorrow technically is All Souls Day, if you're following those traditions. I am just enjoying autumnal vibes here. And also I will need to do a video pretty soon. It might be actually straight away after this one, on just generally the decks that I've been hanging out with again, because this was great for a review, but I've been needing some TLC, and I think those decks might be good for me to talk about as well. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye.